Texas leads Kansas State 10-7 at the half, and before we start this third quarter, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You are listening to the Touchdown Radio Network. Brett Dolan and Gino Torretta about to start the third quarter here at Bill Snyder Family Stadium in Manhattan. Again, the Longhorns lead by 3, and Gino in the open. We talked about the Texas defense, how difficult it has been for them to stop anybody this season. But this vaunted running game for the Wildcats, they've run for just 42 yards. They have just 5 first downs in the first half.
Well, no question. And they've come out smoking. And it's amazing that Texas only has a 3-point lead in this game. Texas, 235 yards of total offense in the first half, 114. That's it for Kansas State. They only have, the passing is just 72 yards of passing for Kansas State, 204 for Texas, and that's all because Case McCoy has been on fire. 17-20 in the first half, 204 yards, a touchdown, and the interception was his first completion. It was just to the wrong team.
I guess the good news for the Wildcats, they'll get the football to start this third quarter, a chance to work out some of the kinks in the locker room and find some positives here in the third.
And just something. I mean, I think we really got to go back to when Colin Klein was injured and took that concussion a few games ago. He has been pedestrian in numbers, and it's like their offense for Kansas State can't get on track. We thought when they were backed up, they moved right down the field, 80-plus yards. They get down into the red zone, and he throws an interception, so they got nothing to show for a long drive.
Nick Rose will kick off for the Longhorns. The Wildcats will head from right to left here in the third quarter. Lockett and Thompson, the 2 deep men. It's a high kick sailing into the end zone. Lockett will take it 6 yards deep, and he'll take a knee on the Wildcat logo. And Kansas State will begin 1st and 10 from their 25. And Gino, you know there's something bizarre going on in the college football world when the biggest Texas Longhorn fans are those from the Oklahoma Sooners. With Oklahoma's win today.
Well, I can say this. You can tell there's a difference between burnt orange and purple. There might be a couple hundred burnt orange fans in this whole stadium, and that's about it. So there wasn't a lot of traveling going on from Austin here to Manhattan, Kansas.
A lot of Oklahoma fans sitting at home listening and watching this game, hoping Texas can pull off the upset. Meanwhile, the Wildcats will begin 1st and 10 from their 25, and Colin Klein will go under center. His running back is Hubert. Miller goes in motion, taps Klein on the backside, and Colin will take the football. Hands to Hubert, running right, gets the corner at the 25, cuts back at the 30, makes a man miss at the 35, comes to the near sidelines, he's in midfield, switches hands for the football, and ridden down hard at the 45 by Kenny Vaccaro. A gain of 28 from John Hubert.
Wow, that's how you get your offense back on track. A quick hitter. And his running back, Hubert, does an excellent job. A couple stutter steps, comes back across the formation. Wow, is he quick and fast. He went to 0, back to 60 miles an hour, back to 0 a couple times.
Well, a huge game from Hubert might give him a chance for 1,000 on the season. Big gainer there to start this third quarter. The Wildcats operating now in Texas territory. Klein from the gun has his fullback, Wilson, lined up to his right. And now Klein going through that situation where he maneuvers Wilson behind him, maybe changes the play, takes a high snap, running the option to the right side. He'll keep it to the 45. Hit hard by Vaccaro at the 44. And Klein gets 4, but he paid the price at the end.
Wow, he kept that ball. And his Braden Wilson, the fullback, was wide open on the option pitch to the outside. Colin Klein elected not to pitch that ball. And Kenny Vaccaro just stepped up and just drilled Klein.
Well, Klein could carry the football more than 200 times this year. I know he's a tough guy. You wonder if all those hits and all those tackles begin to pay a price at some point. 2nd and 7 from the 44-yard line. Far hash, 2 receivers to the far side. The lone wide receiver to the near side is Tremaine Thompson. Play clock at 1, and Colin Klein has to burn his first time out here in the first drive of our third quarter. He just did beat the play clock. So it's Texas 10 at Kansas State 7, early goings third quarter. And you're listening to the College Football Game of the Week on the Touchdown Radio Network. Well, the Wildcats had to burn a timeout here in their first drive here in the third quarter, trailing Texas 10-7. We have 13:35 to play in this third quarter. And again, the Wildcats so much at stake tonight. It's senior night, of course. 27 seniors playing their last game here in the Little Apple in Manhattan. And as we discussed in the open, the Wildcats trying for their 3rd conference title in school history, just their 2nd in the Big 12. The other was in the Big 6 with Pappy Waldorf in 19 34. But
don't be sleeping on Pappy
don't
now.
sleep on Pappy at all. But for the Wildcats, Gino, the implications are, should they lose to Texas? A couple of weeks ago, they looked like they might play in the national championship game.
They were going to the national championship game in Miami, and then the disappointing performance against Baylor. Yeah, but if they lose this game, then where's the fall to? They went from number 1 thinking they were heading down to Miami to probably the Alamo Bowl.
Big change of fortunes in 2 weeks. You know, the Wildcats would like to find some points on the march here. They had the big run from John Hubert, but now it's a 2nd and 7 from the Texas 44. Football marked at the far hash. Angelo Pease is the running back lined up to the left of Klein in the gun. And the senior quarterback trying to win his 22nd game at Kansas State, maybe changing the play. Waiting to accept the football, facing this 4-man defensive front. He'll take the football, a jump pass, complete to Tannehill, the tight end, down between the hashes, inside the 20, to the 15, and ridden down at the 14-yard line. Travis Tannehill made the catch on the jump pass from Colin Klein, a pickup of 29.
That play made famous by Tim Tebow. He takes the snap, and it looks like a delay quarterback run. He takes 2 steps to the line of scrimmage and jumps and finds his big tight end down the hash mark for a big play.
Rumbling wide open, and now Klein working from the Texas 15-yard line with a 1st and 10. Angelo Pease lined up behind Klein. And Klein will fake the handoff to Pease. Run left. He's at the 15, trying to get the corner at the 10. Stays on his feet and stumbles to the 5-yard line. Near the marker, right at a gain of 10. And he just about found a way to keep his footing and find the end zone.
Couple Texas defenders out there. He's able to run through one of the tackles, but the second defender just tripped him up enough to get him down to the turf. 1st and goal at the 5 now for Kansas State.
So Texas leading by 3. The Wildcats on the move. The first drive here in the 3rd quarter. Hubert checks back in, lined up to the left of Colin Klein. 2 receivers to the right side of the field. That's the wide side. Klein waiting, accepts the football. Looking to run, trying to bounce outside. He's at the 5, cutting back, nowhere to go. And he's swarmed under by 3 or 4 Texas Longhorns. He'll end up losing a yard. It's Brandon Moore, the Montgomery, Alabama native, there in the bottom of the pile.
Colin Klein shows a lot of patience. It would look like, I thought he was going to pull back and throw another jump pass. I don't know if his tight end didn't get a good enough release or what, and then he held it, and by then the Texas defense had rallied to the ball and swarmed him.
Now Klein has completed 5 passes here tonight. He's run for the lone touchdown for Kansas State. 2nd and goal from the 6 at the far hash. Harper, the big play wide receiver, is lined up to the right. Play clock down to 3. Klein has to snap it. Finally does a high snap. Runs into the line at the 5. Cuts back at the 3. Stretching for the 2. And he picked up 4 yards, but it'll be 3rd and goal for Kansas State.
Texas making Kansas State work for every single yard here. What looked like a hole big enough for Colin Klein to step through. Texas defense closed up quickly.
Steve Edmond, the linebacker, the leading tackler on this Texas defense, made the stop. Kansas State 3rd of 7, 3 of 7 on 3rd downs, facing a 3rd and goal from the 2. Klein will go into center. Hubert is the tailback in this formation. Klein surveying the defense, a long count. He'll run the option. Pitch to Hubert. A lot of running room. He's at the 5. He's in. Touchdown, Kansas State. And John Hubert with his 13th rushing touchdown this season, and the Wildcats have regained the lead.